reports that Genco Shipping President and CEO John Wildensmith, who spoke with Bloomberg recently, is warning that the cost of dry goods shipping is about to go, and I'm quoting here, parabolic, as limited vessel capacity and robust demand sends everything from soap to shoes into skyrocketing levels of inflation that we have not seen before. According to the report, Wildensmith had the following warning. I think rates can go higher from here, he says. You do get to a point, and you've seen this in containers, where you can hit a certain utilization rate, and you start to go parabolic on these rates. I think we're getting close to that period, he warns. He said fundamentally, you've got demand outstripping supply growth, adding that freight agreements are above $20,000 for a 1 kilo level not seen seasonally in a decade. You have to get ready for the financial crisis that is about to strip all of the wealth that you may have accrued. That can be $100 savings, that can be $100,000 savings. No matter what you have, and everything in the middle is getting stripped away by this financial crisis. And everything that you can do to get ready for it is something that is going to get you ahead of the curve. The images that I'm about to show you right now, the ones that I'm seeing in the Midwest, are truly apocalyptic. It's out of a movie.
Right, so real quick, I like to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Makah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's going to work in truth and sincerity. So the thing is, you can see how the spirit is out there, not just on the men that's out in the highways and byways, teaching the word, but the spirit is out there on just multiple people, talking about the shortages, the financial crisis, the food, a lack of food, the containers not being able to ship as fast enough or not being shipped at all. So these are the things that's taking place, man, and the spirit is out there on multiple people talking about these things. So, and the crazy thing is that as these things are being talked about, it's literally happening. See, you people, your mind circulates only on what you do on a day-to-day basis. But the only time when you want to react is when it's too late. The only time when you want to react is when it's too late, man. Right? But let me grab this real quick and I'll play the video again. Second Esdras, Salaki, let me read this real quick and I'll play the video again. Second Esdras 6 and 26. Salaki, 22. And the scripture says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, right? Because where they're planting these crops and things like that, that supplies these stores and, these other nations with shipments of food, that's going to come to a halt because right now, the U.S. is still in that drought, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. So while this place is going through that drought, you're going to have shortages of goods and things like that. But to add on to that, like I was mentioning in a couple other videos before, with the the price increasing on the container shipments, that's going to prevent a trade deal because it's costing them too much money to send goods here to America. When you see those big old containers that diesel trucks drive and drop off, well, they go pick up those containers. You have trains that drop off those containers. But before they even get here, they're being shipped from another nation. Then they get here. Then they get taken off of the ships. Then after they get taken off of those ships, they start getting loaded to the destinations that they need to go to. But what's happening is that that's not happening. Those containers aren't being shipped here, which means they don't have anything to ship to stores but what they already had in stock. And that's why you have a lot of stores saying we got a shortage here. We can't give out bulk. We got a shortage there. We got a shortage here. because they got to make do with what they already have. Right, so let's read that back. It says, suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So there you go. It's all prophesied in the scriptures. So eventually you're going to go to the stores, and a lot of people are going to, even people that barely have money, is going to stock up on a lot of goods, from canned foods to different foods. Well, you know what? Let me not even say a lot of people. Actually, yeah, you know, a lot of people, because they actually did that during the COVID. You know, they started stocking up on tissue and baby wipes, food and water. And that's going to happen again, is that these people are going to stock up on things, not knowing that you're laying a... which, again, you people are ultimately laying a trap for yourselves, because when you stocking up, your next door neighbors are going to see you stocking up. Your next door, from across the street, somebody that lives next to you is going to see you stocking up. So if they run out, they know where they can go to get more supplies and more goods for their family, because at the end of the day, that's what these people are going to do. They're going to protect themselves and their own families. And in order for them to do that, they're going to have to take action. And these are the times that's coming, man. These are the times that's coming. And guess what, man? The Most High got you people blinded from seeing that shit, you know? So, again, actually, I'll go through this whole thing, man. Verse 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight once against another like enemies, and that's what's going to happen. Your so-called best friend, right? Your BFF, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You're going to be an enemy to that same person that you grew up with. And it says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. And it's going to be fearful, man, because violence is going to break out throughout the earth, man. The scriptures talk about that, and I believe in, I want to say Ezekiel 7:12. It says violence. Matter of fact, let me see if that's it. I believe that's Ezekiel 7:12. No, that's not. Yeah, it's 11. My bad. 11, verse 11. It says, violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor of any of theirs. Neither shall there be dwelling for them. The time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. So there you go. So violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness, and this is what you seeing now, and it's going to be on a much higher scale than what it is now. You know, there's going to be a lot of, man, you people have no fucking clue what's happening. So, do whatever you're doing right now, man, because if the Most High if the Most High have not waking you up when the times come, then that just means the Lord forsaking your ass, man. Right? At the end of the day, 2 Ezra 24. At that time shall friend fight once against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still. The springs of the fountains are what? Water. You're not going to be able to get water. You're not going to find water, man. Right? You want to go to that little lake over there to get water. You want to go somewhere to get water, but when there's a major drought, you're not going to be able to find it. And in 3 hours they shall not run. So let's keep playing this video real quick.
But the reality is that much worse. Entire crops that are meant to bring food to your table, everything from wheat to the crops that feed the animals that you will be eating in the future, are being wasted. They are being torn apart. Entomologists and farmers are warning that there will be massive shortages and quality issues this season.
And that was actually a video. I forget who was showing it. I want to say Dabu7. But there was a video where they were like dumping food off in the middle of the fucking somewhere in a desert somewhere, man. They was just dumping boxes of food, getting rid of a lot of food, man. Right? So it's going to show you that real soon these stores, as more and more you start buying, the less and less you're gonna start seeing. You're gonna start seeing the shelves slowly. What's the word, man? Slowly. Well, let's say it in a different way. You're gonna start seeing these shelves become more and more empty, for the lack of a better word. And once you start noticing that, that's when you people really gonna start freaking out and start buying loads of shit to stock up into your house, right? So right here is Ecclesiastes 12:3. And the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few. And this is what's coming, is that you're gonna have less workers out in the world, because they're gonna come up against their leaders, like they are now with the inoculation. They're coming up against their leaders because of the mandated inoculations. So the less workers you start seeing, then you're gonna know that you have been told. So again, it says, "And the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low." Right? Because you're going to start seeing a lot of these businesses close down, from small businesses to major businesses. You're going to start seeing them close down, because the thing is that you got to understand, when somebody owns a company, they're paying attention. They have people to pay attention to the economy, the stock markets, all of these things. Why? Because their company play a major part in those things. When people can't work, that means they can't buy. If you have issues like shortages and companies cannot get the materials that they need to stock back up so you can work, then what they'll start doing is start letting people go. And the more people they let go, that's gonna turn upside down the economy even more. And when the economy get bad enough, they start printing more, which causes a hyperinflation. And then when you go into a store to buy a bag of fucking chips or a loaf of bread, the loaf of bread costs fucking $20-$30, which nobody's not about to pay $20-$30 for. But more likely, you're not gonna have a choice, right? So it says, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." So all the daughters of music, all of this shit you hear today, when you turn on your radio or whatever the hell you got to listen to music, you're not gonna be able to hear no more. Something that can probably keep you calm, cool, and collective when there's a bad situation. You're not going to be able to go to that music for that anymore. These are the times that's coming, man. People about to be in a bad case, right?
As individual operations suffer across the entire country. A specific type of pest that some say only come in these types of numbers every 1,000 years. The infestation is so intense that they say millions of pounds of food are at risk. I want you to look at this image from one of the farmers. For scale, you can see the giant mower blades that go onto the back of large industrial tractors there. These blades are usually 5 to 6 feet in width, and the insects are there for as long as the eyes can see. It has actually, this animal has typically up to 300 different types of plants that they feed on. When they come like this, in 1,000-year cycles, let's call it what it is. It's a plague. And that plague is going to cause shortages across the United States of America. We're already seeing, if you just scan through social media for things like bad food or spoiled.
Yeah, because the thing is that this is Egypt all over again, right? So let's get this. Revelations 18:7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen. Which that word queen goes back to the Latin, queon, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But it means prostitute, whore. It says, and that's why you women are stupid as hell when you call yourselves queens. That's dumb as hell, man. But you do lack of research and study to find out what these words really mean, and you walking around here calling yourself these things, like so-called black people call themselves black, when that word black is just a color, right? It was used before the Roman Empire, or um, before the Roman Empire, before different before different empires was even created. The color black was used to paint different figures on the walls, and that's how they discovered a lot of history as well. And when the Roman Empire used the color black during the 4th, 5th, and the 6th century, they was using it for a lot of fucking witchcraft. And when you go back to the meaning of the word black and the etymology of the word, it means evil, malice, right? Deceptive. It doesn't have nothing to do with good. It is the opposite of light. The word black actually also means void of light. So for you to be ignorant enough to call yourself black, it is insane. But again, monkey see, monkey do. So if a monkey see another monkey do something, it's gonna want to do it too. So really, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're a bunch of fucking monkeys, ultimately. So Revelations 18:7, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. But she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Proud. We know who this is talking about. Esau, Edom. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. See, the thing is, why ain't your every Sunday pastor, your every Wednesday and Sunday pastor, reading Revelations 18, where it talks about death, mourning, famine, right? And she shall be utterly burnt with fire. Why he ain't talking about something like that? But instead, he's talking about that. He's talking about rich people don't sleep for 8 hours, because while you sleeping, the stock market is still going. What? That's what your pastors are teaching you. That's what's his name? Steve Harvey. That's what he had to tell you. He said. He that dealeth with a slack hand. Bugs and shit jumping on me, slocking. But what did it say? He that dealeth with the slack hand shall come to poverty, right? And Steve Harvey told you that if you ain't up working and doing what you got to do, then how can you be rich? But the scriptures tell you that seek not to be rich. But I don't want to get off topic, so let's keep going. It says, verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. That sounds like death and destruction to me. This is what is prophesied in Revelations, the 18th chapter, which revelation means revealing. So it says, for strong is the Lord power who judges her. So the Lord is judging her, man. We're just speaking, right? We're the mouthpiece of the Most High. That's it. Because the Most High isn't going to come down here talking to you. He's not going to come down here, explaining things to you. He's going to use his prophets to explain things. But the thing is that what his prophets got to explain according to the scriptures, you people ain't gonna like, because what you want to hear is love, lovey-dovey, smooth kissies and shit. When you living in a world that's nothing like that, man. You live in a world where there's nothing but deception, right? Hate, murder, and all sorts of other things. Stop living in fucking fantasy land watching fucking Cinderella and shit, and wake up to fucking reality, man. That's why those movies, The Matrix, are good, man, because The Matrix shows you that you people love being in a fucking matrix. You love being stuck in that one place instead of finding out the truth. Because the moment you do find out the truth, you wanna throw up and shit, because you can't believe what's really behind the curtain. Like the brother Karatazar say, you people love living in a false perception of reality. So it says, verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, because this is what's coming to America. You see what he's talking about, full spectrum survival, and you could watch Dabu 7 and other economic videos and things like that you could do some search on. But there's been a lot of videos made on the decline of America, and the final minute, the final couple minutes is going to be what? The thermonuclear missiles, whether if you believe it or not. It says, verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. It says, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls, and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood. And you can see that on a small scale right now, with the increase of the containers and things like that, and things that's not being shipped. You can see that on a small level right now. You can see that nations are pulling away from trading with the U.S. So pretty soon the U.S. is going to become a third world country as well. And it says, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ornaments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and it says Salakia, and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. It says in the souls of men. So when these actors and when these actors and rappers and R&B singers and all that shit talk about selling their souls, they're really doing that shit. And whether if you believe it or not, but it's in the scriptures, it says it right there. And slaves and souls of men. Well, look at this madness. Look at this madness. The slaves are who? The slaves are ultimately you so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But when you, in this modern day time, when you go into a job and you assign that employment and become an employee, right? You are now a slave, right? Because you got to get up and work every fucking day. The moment you stop going to that job, you're going to be fired. It says, and the fruits that, verse 14, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all the things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, at last, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sellers, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this city, unto this great city? So there you go. Right? So, if you want to finish and watch the rest of his video, you can see it. His page is Full Spectrum Survival. You can go ahead and put it on, watch it, do a video on it if you wish. And I'm going to go ahead and end it from there and say Barakatah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Shalom.